战红蝶，战前锋，他一人之力撼动整个竹缺行云。
Why is it said that the statue of Wang Lin at Yuntian sect saved the Vermilion Bird Planet? The existence of that statue was not merely a decoration of the sect. During a catastrophe that could have annihilated an entire planet, it was precisely its invisible deterrent, its overwhelming presence, that saved the whole Vermilion Bird Planet. The story must begin with the experiences of Wang Lin. In order to escape the control of the all-seer Tian Yunzi, after fleeing from the land of monster spirits, Wang Lin wandered into the La Tian star domain, where he assumed the identity of Shumu. Within the La Tian star domain, because of his ruthless methods, his disregard for convention, and his refusal to bow to established norms, he formed deep enmity with numerous major forces. Top-tier clans such as the Yao clan joined forces to hunt him down, even issuing a public extermination order, placing a bounty on his head. To protect himself and to seek revenge, Wang Lin carried out massacres across dozens of cultivation planets within the Latian star domain. Each time he left a planet behind, he deliberately the name Shu Mu. His vicious reputation spread like a plague. Moreover, through a meticulously calculated scheme, within mere dozens of breaths, 300,000 cultivators perished, while he calmly reaped the benefits as the unseen beneficiary. From that moment on, the title Demonic Taoist Modaozi spread widely among cultivators. Later, the forces of the La Tian star domain set their sights on the seemingly insignificant Vermilion Bird Planet, planning to send troops to massacre its inhabitants and plunder its resources. However, the moment they stepped into the territory of the Vermilion Bird Planet, they saw a statue standing before the mountain gate of the Yuntian sect, a statue of Wang Lin, recognizing it as the statue of Shumu, the demonic Taoist. The La Tian cultivators were instantly terrified out of their wits. They knew all too well Shumu's cruelty and his horrifying strength, and they understood clearly the consequences of provoking such a being. Realizing that Shumu's relationship with the Vermilion Bird Planet was anything but simple, they no longer dared to harbor even the slightest thought of attacking. Immediately they fled in panic, escaping the Vermilion Bird Planet as if their lives depended on it. This in turn stemmed from the statue's own deterrent power. Shumu's vicious reputation within the La Tian star domain was simply too overwhelming. His statue seemed to carry with it the murderous aura of countless armies. The Wang Lin depicted in the statue had eyes cold enough to freeze the soul, a chilling expression carved deep into stone, and an air of resolute cruelty between his brows. Merely gazing at it from afar was enough to instill an uncontrollable fear deep within the hearts of La Tian cultivators. One must understand, even ordinary cultivators aside, even the ancestral patriarchs of their clans would treat Shu Mu with utmost respect upon meeting him, daring not to show the slightest negligence, let alone actively provoke such a terrifying existence. As for the native cultivators of the Vermilion Bird Planet, the statue held a significance of its own. Yun Quezi, one of the most senior cultivators on the Vermilion Bird Planet, personally witnessed the La Tian cultivators flee in disgrace because of the statue. His heart was filled with shock and confusion, secretly wondering whether those La Tian cultivators had recognized Wang Lin from long ago. Veteran cultivators such as Chu Wu Tai also locked their divine senses onto the statue at Yuntian sect, equally curious about its origins and the inexplicable pressure it radiated. Tai Yan spent years seated in meditation beside the statue. Whenever he gazed upon it, his eyes were filled with excitement and reverence. The most dramatic reaction, however, came from the great head child. He was originally a top-tier powerhouse from the La Tian star domain, with cultivation unfathomably deep. At first, he had utterly despised the Vermilion Bird Planet, a nearly abandoned cultivation world, believing its cultivators to be nothing more than useless trash. He had even considered destroying Wang Lin's statue to vent his displeasure. Yet the moment he used his divine sense and clearly recognized the statue as Shu Mu, a being whom even the great figures of the La Tian star domain did not dare to provoke lightly, he instantly lost all courage. His hair stood on end, and he instinctively retreated several steps, never again daring to harbor even the slightest thought of destroying the statue. He even realized that Shu Mu was a cultivator from the Alliance star domain, not a native of the La Tian star domain, and briefly entertained the idea of using the statue to leak Shu Mu's whereabouts. But in the end, under the statue's innate deterrent power, he could only abandon the thought for the time being. It can be said that it was precisely the statue of Wang Lin at the Yuntian sect, supported by the terrifying reputation of the figure standing behind it, that single-handedly forced the would-be slaughterers of the Latian star domain to retreat in fear. No blade was drawn, no spell was cast, yet the killing intent that should have engulfed the planet was extinguished before it could even take shape. Like an invisible barrier woven from bloodshed and legend, the statue stood between the Vermilion Bird planet and absolute annihilation. Its silent presence crushed ambition, shattered greed, and erased all thoughts of conquest from those who dared approach. The peace of the Vermilion Bird planet was not protected by formations or armies, but by fear rooted deep in the memories of the Latian star domain, where countless cultivators had learned through death what it meant to provoke Wang Lin. Thus, when catastrophe loomed just a single step away, the planet remained untouched, unscarred, and unbroken, not because the danger never came, but because it dared not cross that line. That statue is not merely an artistic creation carved from cold stone, nor is it a silent ornament standing before the gates of a sect. It is a symbol of absolute power, a manifestation of unyielding will, and a warning etched into the very fabric of the stars. Within that unmoving figure lies the accumulated terror of countless battlefields, the lingering slaughter sea of destroyed cultivation planets, and the blood-soaked legend of a man who once made the Latian star domain tremble at the mere mention of his name. The stone does not speak, yet it roars louder than thunder. The eyes carved into that statue seem to gaze across time and space, carrying the same icy indifference that once looked down upon 300,000 cultivators as their lives were extinguished in a single calculated moment. To outsiders, it is only a statue, but to those who truly understand, it is Shu Mu standing there in silence, his presence alone enough to halt armies, to shatter ambitions, and to turn would-be conquerors into fugitives fleeing in terror. Because of its existence, the Vermilion Bird planet was spared annihilation. Because of its presence, a slaughter that should have occurred was smothered before it could even begin. No defensive formation was activated, no battle was fought, no blood was spilled, yet an entire planet was saved. And the reason for this miracle was not the statue itself, but the fearsome reputation behind it. A reputation forged by Wang Lin through iron-blooded methods, ruthless resolve, and an unflinching path of slaughter and survival. Within the Latian star domain, every massacre, every planet left in ruins, every name deliberately behind, all of it became invisible runes, etched into the statue's silent form. Thus, when the calamity arrived at the doorstep of the Vermilion Bird planet, it did not find prey, it found a warning, and so it retreated. That is why it is said, without exaggeration, without legend embellishment, that the statue of Wang Lin at the Yuntian sect saved the entire Vermilion Bird planet. Not by fighting, not by moving, but by standing there. That's all for today's content. See you in the next part. Support me by becoming a member. It will give me more motivation. Thank you so much.